that doctors have heroes? I'm going to tell you about two of my heroes, both brave germ fighters. Their names, Nash, you can get it today, but usually it's going to be whoever's closest.
I'm the helper.
Usually it's whoever's closest, which is Dylan. Okay, come in and sit down, okay? Okay, so I'm going to tell you about two of my heroes, both brave germ fighters. Their names are Edward Jenner and Louis Pasteur. Jenner was a doctor. Pasteur was a scientist. Both lived long ago. Their work made the world a safer place for all of us. What do you see in this picture? What do you see in this picture? Raise your hand. Girls, just put those away in your mailboxes.
Okay.
What do you see in this picture, Grace?
A scientist.
A scientist? What else? What do we see on this side? What do we see? What do you think that is, Kinsley?
Germs.
Germs. Very nice guess. Did you know that already? Nice job. Okay, hands down. So this scientist is looking through a microscope, looking at germs. Very good. Germs are all around us. These tiny living things are so small that you can only see them by looking through a special type of instrument called a microscope. But even though you cannot see them, germs are everywhere. In the air we breathe, in the water we drink, in the food we eat, and on our skin. Most of the times, germs do not hurt us. So, did you hear that line?
Yeah.
Most of the times, germs do not hurt us. Some germs even help us, like the ones in our intestines that kill off harmful germs that help us digest our food. So what system are the intestines in?
Digestion.
What system are the intestines in?
No, I was asking a question.
Hold on, which system is that in? The digestive system. Hold on. So, in our digestive system, our intestines are fighting off those germs with other germs. Mason, is it about what we're doing right now?
You said instrument of a microscope. Why you said it.
So an instrument isn't just something you play in music. Sometimes people call different types of tools instruments. So it's not. So it's just the same word for a different thing. Make sense? Okay. Natalie, is it about what we're doing right now? Yes.
Can germs feel anything?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because Nash was moving his feet and he wasn't being an active listener. Go ahead.
Can germs hear things?
Can germs hear things? So they're different. It's different alive than you and me. They don't have ears. So it's a living thing, but they're not like you and I that have control. They don't have a brain. They don't have anything that can make it so they can hear things. So ready? Hands down for now. I bet some of your questions will be answered in this.
They just go crazy. Can they see?
Ready?
Yeah, can they see?
They don't have brains. And what does your brain do? Holds everything. They're a different kind of alive, but I bet if we listen to our real life, you'll learn more about them. Ready? Put it on perfect. Okay. But other germs can make us sick. They get into our bodies in different ways. Some creep in through insect bites or cuts on our skin. Others float in when someone sneezes or coughs nearby. Still, others come from food that's poorly cleaned or undercooked. We have natural immunities in our bodies, so your body has fighters that naturally fight off things that are not good for us. And down for now. That means our bodies have a way of fighting off germs on their own. But sometimes this is not enough. That is why doctors and scientists are always working to find new ways to fight sicknesses, also called diseases. So right now with the virus that's going around right now, there's lots of doctors and scientists that are working really hard for a vaccine so that we don't have to wear masks anymore eventually. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah.
I would love that.
Vaccine, some kind of.
Remember, the vaccine is what you get through a shot. It gives your body.
I thought you meant like to like get rid of that.
So it's a little different than that. So it'll still be here, but when we get vaccines, we can't spread anything because we can't get it. Kevin, you forgot what we're doing right now? Yep.
I'm gonna.
Oh, is your name Kevin? Kevin's going to talk.
So when I saw that green thing, I noticed that was the coronavirus 19.
Do you think it's the coronavirus? This book was actually made before the coronavirus came out, so it was a different type of thing. I like how you're thinking about that. Okay, Dylan. Go ahead.
Is that why it's red?
It's just a black and white picture. Sometimes people do that, but I don't think it's not that old. Okay, ready? Can we move on?
Can I tell you something?
Can you tell me something later? Because I want to move on with our reading, okay? Okay, put that away. Boys, go ahead and put the papers away on your desk and listen to the reading. Put them in your unfinished work folder. Okay, ready? Let's go on. Whew. So one very important way to fight diseases is by giving people medicines called vaccines. Vaccines help give you immunity. That means they help keep the bad germs from harming you in the first place before you get sick. So like we were talking about the chicken pox, it makes it so it doesn't help you when you have the chicken pox. It helps you not ever get it. So doctors give vaccines by vaccinating people. So that which means they give a child or a grown-up a shot. Many people don't like getting shot because the needle stings a bit. You don't really like the feeling of a shot.
I don't.
Some people do. I don't. It makes my eyes water a little bit. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on your bottom, Jimmy. Okay. So, but vaccinations give us immunity too, or They protect us from a very terrible or harmful disease like measles, mumps, flu, smallpox, and polio. Diseases that can make people very sick or even cause them to die. So some diseases are so bad that it could kill you. But doctors give you vaccines. A lot of them you get when you're a baby, so you don't even remember getting them. A lot of vaccines you get when you're a baby. So you don't even have to worry about them.
I can't spread anything.
Remember, we're talking about not learning out, okay? Okay. So what do doctors give people to protect them from harmful diseases? What are we talking about? What do they give? What do doctors give? Raise your hands. What do doctors give? Kinsley? Shots, which are a type of what? What's the big word, Grace?
Vaccines.
Vaccines or vaccinations. Very good. So, this is the way a hospital looked long ago. Does that look like our hospitals now?
No.
No. Long ago, people didn't know about germs. They did not understand what made people sick. So, they did not know how important it was to wash your hands, eat clean food, and to drink clean water quickly. But you need to go during the brain break next time. So, they did not know how to protect themselves from getting bad germs in their bodies, and sometimes thousands of people at a time would die from a disease as germs spread quickly from one person to another because they didn't know how to not spread the disease. Right now we're wearing masks to help us from spreading anything. They didn't even know that some people could. They didn't even know that germs could spread. They didn't know about germs at all. So they didn't know how to wash their hands. Is that crazy or what? Crazy. So, about 200 years ago, hands down, guys. About 200 years ago, I want you to think in your head, okay? Not out loud. About 200 years ago, an English doctor discovered something amazing. When we say an English doctor, he's from the UK. An English doctor discovered something amazing. He discovered a way to keep people from getting one of the most terrible diseases in the world. A disease called smallpox. So, have you ever heard of smallpox?
No.
That's because he discovered how to get rid of it. I don't think there's any cases anymore of it. Because this doctor right here discovered how to make people never get it again.
Wait,
What
is it?
Smallpox is a disease.
Well, what does it do?
It's a disease that can kill people, can kill children.
Like,
So are you glad that this doctor, are you glad that this doctor did what he did?
Yes.
Yeah. So he invented, remember what I said, think in your head.
He's right.
Okay. And no, because he lived 200 years ago, so do you think he's still alive?
No.
No. Okay. But doctors like him are discovering how to get rid of corona. Yes.
What if he worked out more so he lived over 200 years ago? That'd be cool.
That'd be cool, but that's not where humans are meant to live that long. Anyways, moving on. So, Edward Jenner invented the first vaccine, the first type of shot that people get, and eventually that disease doesn't exist anymore. Okay, Mason, I appreciate your participation, but I need you to keep your hands down and keep your questions to the end.
Yeah, cows?
Dr. Jenner was living in a country village in England. There were many farms all around, like the one shown in the picture. He knew that farmers in his village knew. He knew what the farmers in the village knew. People who milked cows sometimes got a disease called cowpox. The disease made blisters on their hands, but it was no serious disease. So did it kill them? No, just blisters on their hands. People got over it pretty quickly. Dr. Jenner also noticed that people who got cowpox almost never came down with smallpox, a much worse disease that often killed people or left horrible scars on their skin. So it was a bigger version of the chickenpox, was what it was. It was something that either killed them or it left really, really bad, ugly scars all over them. I hear a lot of people blurting out, and right now I did not call on questions. So he thought that cowpox might give people protection from getting smallpox. After a lot of thinking and studying, Dr. Jenner decided to test his idea. He decided to give a healthy boy a small amount of the cowpox germs. So he gave the germs to the boy. Then the boy got sick with cowpox, just as Dr. Jenner thought he would. So he did get some cowpox. He got the blisters on his hands, remember? But was it a bad disease? Was it really, really bad?
No,
cowpox was not. Then after the boy got better, Jenner gave the boy a small amount of smallpox germs. Now smallpox was the bad disease, remember? But he gave him the germs. Just as Jenner hoped, the boy did not get it. So he got the germs, but those germs were fought off by the other vaccine that he gave with the cowpox in it. And did he end up getting smallpox?
No.
No. Dr. Jenner's practices would not be used today Because doctors wouldn't give people the germs. Like when they don't give people the bad germs anymore. They test things on others. They don't test things on humans anymore. So this is very what we call unconventional. People don't do it anymore. But this was very old. This is back 200 years ago. So doctors wouldn't intentionally give healthy people germs, even if it was a new way to prevent disease. So they test things in other ways now because they have more scientific tools. So, but Dr. Jenner did not understand exactly how the vaccination had worked. It was up to other doctors and scientists to find out. Another germ fighter and another one of my heroes is Louis Pasteur. Who is this?
Louis Pasteur.
Nice job. Louis Pasteur was born in France a year after Dr. Jenner had died. So he was a younger, so he came in after Dr. Jenner. As a boy, he worked very hard in school and was very curious, always asking a lot of questions. When he grew up, he became a science professor. This is a long one. He became a science professor, teaching at a university or a college. He was also a medical researcher, someone who tries to find out what causes diseases and how they can be cured. Using a microscope, Pasteur saw that liquids like milk and fruit juice, eyes are up here, eyes are up here, like milk and fruit juice contain tiny living things called germs. Some of these germs cause milk or juice to spoil or go bad. Pasteur discovered that he could kill the harmful germs by heating the liquid to a high temperature. Heating liquids is a way to get rid of germs. Heating liquids this way to get rid of germs is known as pasteurization. We talked about that word. So, why do you think it's called pasteurization? What's this guy's name? Let's think about that. Why do you think? Mason, thank you so much for raising your hand quietly.
Pasteurization is
Named after him. What's his name?
pasteurization.
It's not pasteurization. It's just what? Just Louis Pasteur. So Louis Pasteur, hands down, Louis Pasteur gave the name pasteurization to them. So, today, because of Pasteur's discovery, the milk we drink, as well as some other foods, are pasteurized to make them safe before we buy them. Did you know that? Yeah. Just as important, Pasteur's work on pasteurization convinced other doctors and scientists that germs are real. So some people were like, those don't exist. He convinced them that they were real and that they can cause disease. People began to realize how important it is to keep harmful germs out of food and water. Okay, a couple more. Dr. Pasteur helped people in other ways too. Listen to find out how he helped a young boy who became sick with another disease. Louis Pasteur didn't stop there. He continued Jenner's work with vaccines, working to discover how to prevent many more diseases. One of the vaccines he developed fought rabies. Does anyone know what rabies is? Who knows what rabies is? Raise your hand. Anyone know what rabies is? Evelyn?
It's something that gets animals sick.
Good. So did everyone hear Evelyn?
No.
It's something that gets animals sick. So some animals can get rabies, and if they bite someone, then they can get rabies too. Where should your feet be? At all times. Oh, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Voices are off and your eyes are where?
Up there.
Up here. So, often if an animal bit, which also the animals would end up dying too, but if they bit a human, the human would end up dying too.
What about the Komodo dragon?
We're not talking about what animals get it, we're just talking about rabies. So, Pasteur had been working on rabies vaccine for quite a while when a 9-year-old boy was bitten badly by a dog. The dog was carrying rabies, and Dr. Pasteur thought that his new vaccine would help the boy. Dr. Pasteur's vaccine worked, and he was hailed as a hero. He led the way for other scientists to make vaccines for many other diseases. Today, once you are vaccinated against a disease, you become immune to it and no longer have to be afraid of catching it. So all the shots that you get when you're a baby or when you're a kid, you don't have to be afraid of ever getting that disease because your body is immune. And there are still diseases like malaria and cancer or COVID for scientists that have not yet found the right vaccine. So they're still working on things like those ones. But they are working hard at it. New vaccines will be discovered by other germ fighters. And if you study medicine or science or become a researcher, that germ fighter or person who invents a new vaccine could be you. So, I want you to repeat after me our rhyming poem for today. Ready? So if you're a scientist, you'll discover something new. And you could be a germ fighter who is a hero too. Very nice. Okay, so